9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, engage!
Good day, I am Tagadtad. We talk about the project management. Project management is the process of quality of planning, organizing, motivating, controlling resources, procedures, and protocols to achieve specific goals in scientific or daily problem. The primary challenge of project management is to achieve all of the project goals and objectives while honoring the prerequisite constraints includes scope, time, quality, and budget. Project management life cycle consists of 5 process groups or phases. First is initiation. This is determine the nature and scope of the project. Second is planning. The project is planned to be to an appropriate level of detail in time, cost, and resources. Execution is ensures that the project management plus deliverables are executed accordingly in proper allocation, coordination of human resources and materials and budgets. Fourth is control. This is to observe and measure regularly to identify variances from the project management plan. Last is closure. Formal acceptance of the project and the ending thereof. There are 2 kinds of closure. This is contract closure and project closure. First is contract closure which is complete and settled each statement. And the second one is the project close. This is finalize all the activities across all of the groups to formally close the phase. Project management cycle is first cycle in the phase is initiation of the project. This is a planning. A project has to be initiated. Project initiation consists of the following steps. First is create a document outlining the product or project. Second, a project feasibility will need to be completed. And then the third, the project scope statement is the next deliverables. And lastly, finally, a project charter is created that will demonstrate who is in charge of the projects, the project scope, and the project's critical success factors. The second life cycle of a project management is planning the project. Once the project has been approved, the deadline has been set, and the scope of the has been agreed upon, then the project planning phase of the project management life cycle begins. There are the steps of the planning of the project. First is review the project scope and revise the scope statement if necessary. Complete project decomposition resulting in the work breakdown structure. Once the work breakdown structure has been created, an organization breakdown structure can be put together. Resource allocation is now performed. Create the project schedule, plan the project's budget, and how resource will be gathered for the project. Perform a risk assessment, put together a stakeholders analysis and communication plan, and lastly is finalize the project plan. The life cycle phase 3 is the project execution. Execution begins with the members actually begin working on the one task assigned them by the project manager. During the project execution phase, the following tasks are completed. First is time management. Time management, if the project managers checks to ensure that the project is being completed in schedule. Second is cost management, ensures that all the expenses are accounted. Third is quality management, process to all specifications of stakeholders. Fourth is change management, schedule the project manager may need to change the plans for the project. Fifth is issue management. Issue should be carefully struck so that the project manager and other team members are aware of any problems that come up during execution. Life cycle phase 4 is the project control. Project control really happens close in proximity with project execution. Involves monitoring the project list and keeping those lists at bay. It also involves keeping changes to a minimum. Project control often mistakenly get lumped in with project execution function, but it's important not to do this. Lastly, in a project management life cycle phase is a project closure. Involved of the following steps is writing a project closure report. Second is redistributing resources that were assigned to the project. Third is filing any administrative paperwork regarding the project completion. And then the fourth is preparing any stepping stones for the next project. Finally, while the five phases of the project management cycle appear linear here, oftentimes a project manager will have a return to an earlier steps to complete it and to work back through the project management.
The management of ongoing tasks requires a different approach to the management of one-off tasks. Project management is about getting these temporary endeavours complete on time and on budget. The sad truth is that for one reason or another, most projects fail to meet their objectives. So here's some weapons you can add to your arsenal to make sure your project has the best chance of success. Firstly, make sure all stakeholders agree in granular detail on the final outcome of the project. By agreeing about deliverables at the outset of a project, you'll guard against the scope growing monstrously out of control. Planning is 80% of project management. Remember the 6 Ps. Proper planning prevents poor project performance. There's a lot of great tools that can help you keep track of your project. Use these during your planning. Before building your team, consider the skills and know-how you'll need to complete the project. Then compare that list with the people you have. Add and subtract people as necessary. Make sure you consider how information will flow where it is needed and that all stakeholders know what's happening. Prepare for stormy seas by considering what risks your project might be exposed to and plan how to best navigate to avoid or mitigate them. If you've planned properly, implementation of your project should be like conducting an orchestra, keeping the various players in check with clear, constant communication and leadership. After completing the project, report on what was done well and what could have been done better. This way your team will be better positioned to tackle their next project. Remember, anyone can complete a project by throwing more time and money at it. The real challenge is to achieve a quality outcome using the least time and money. To summarize, to make sure your project is completed on time, on budget, meeting its scope, and in a quality manner, remember that planning is paramount. Fiercely guard against scope creep by getting solid agreement on the required deliverables. Make sure you know about and use available project management tools. Think about the skills your project needs before building your team. Think hard about what risks your project could face. Communicate like an orchestral conductor during implementation. And don't forget, review, reflect, and report on your project's successes and shortcomings so your team learns from the experience.
There's a general order in the natural world. Things are born, they grow, then they die. That's the cycle of life. In this lesson, we'll ponder over the phases of a life and we'll ruminate over the predictive and adaptive meaning of life and the project life cycle. Living things progress through a series of different stages of development. Projects are initiated, they're carried out, then they're closed. Does this mean that a project has a life? It sure does. Just like in life, every project has a start and end point, and the activities that happen between those points can vary in complexity and duration. Like an acorn sprouting to become a sapling, then an oak, projects pass through sequential phases, and each phase culminates in a milestone. In life and in a project life cycle, these phases are bound by time and they can be documented with a methodology. Some life cycles are predictive, like a kid who trains his whole life to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. The outcome of the predictive life cycle is defined at the beginning of the life cycle, and the activities performed during the life cycle are carefully managed in order to achieve the goal. Some life cycles are adaptive, like a kid who doesn't know what she wants to do, but she works hard at everything she does and ends up becoming the CEO of a large technology company. The outcome of the adaptive life cycle is developed over multiple iterations throughout the life cycle and is only defined before the next iteration begins. The project lifecycle is a general, high-level view that a project manager might use when communicating the big picture objectives of the project to the various stakeholders, whereas the processes are the actual activities that will have to be completed throughout the project. The project lifecycle is a general, high-level view that a project manager might use when communicating the big picture objectives of the project to the various stakeholders, whereas the processes are the actual activities that will have to be completed throughout the project. As in life, projects have a phase or multiple phases that can be divided into any number of logical sequences. These phases can be sequential, meaning when one phase ends, the next phase will begin, or they can overlap and the phase can start just before the previous phase is ending. The end of one phase is usually the start of the next phase. Although the elements of each phase may be different and distinct, each phase usually has similar characteristics. They all have their own focus, they achieve their own end, and they close with some sort of milestone that's met or in a transfer into the next phase. The end of a phase usually serves as a natural point to reassess the activities that have been completed up until that point. In the past few years, new concepts referring to the adaptive project lifecycle have been introduced. You may have heard of this being referred to as an agile methodology. This method is iterative and incremental, meaning that the project may go through repeated cycles and each cycle adds some sort of functionality, knowledge, or value to the project. When using the Agile methodology, the work on the next phase is being planned while working in the current phase. Think about it like this. A student may be currently going to a university to earn a Bachelor of Science degree in business, but at the same time, they may be planning on going to a graduate school in order to receive an MBA. When a project is being completed in a dynamic and rapidly changing environment, this adaptive method is preferred. This methodology is especially preferred in the information technology industry because of the rapid changes in software and microchip development. Even though every life cycle must come to an end, a productive life cycle will have produced a deliverable that has met the objectives of the project. There is no single ideal structure or methodology that will work in all life cycles, but there are preferred practices and structures that can be adapted to create success in life and in a project life cycle.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. And the people in the houses all went to the university where they were put in boxes and they came out all the same. And there's doctors and lawyers and business executives, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same. And they all play on the golf course and drink their martinis dry, and they all have pretty children, and the children go to school, and the children go to summer camp, and then to the university where they are put in boxes and they come out all the same. And the boys go into business and marry and raise a family in boxes made of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. There's a pink one and a green one and a blue one and a yellow fun, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you will understand and learn about the project management.